Morning, YouTube. Been real busy, man, working and trying to save money and trying to buy this place I'm in here and trying to save every nickel I can. But hadn't posted anything lately. But I've been working on the old car. Y'all can see I got the top sanded down right here. These older SMC material these cars are made out of. They get little bubbles in the gel coat. So I've been sanding on that and got my quarter panel almost done. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. It's kind of dark in here. I got one little spot right there. I got it finished, and this bumper's rough as a cob, so I don't know. I ain't nobody, man, but I'm trying. Anyhow, figured I'd post a little short video here this morning. When I bought the car, it didn't have any antifreeze or anything in it. The radiator hoses were off, and the guy had it put up for many years. And so anyway, I had filled it with coolant, and these LT5s are kind of notorious for getting air trapped in them, and where the water temperature sensor is located, it won't really tell you if it's running hot, the top part of the engine, or not. So I just wasn't trusting it, man. It seemed like it was full, but I mean, there's several different processes you can use to do it. Some of these guys are jacking up the passenger side like 2 feet and filling it so the air will come up out of the system, and just where the water pump is way down low is what causes it to get stuck in there. So anyhow, I ran it a little bit here and there, and I was just paranoid I was going to blow a head gasket. So I've been reading about these airlift systems they're using now to fill these cooling systems, and they're pretty expensive, and like I said, I'm kind of poor because I'm trying to save my money, but Harbor Freight had this one on sale, and I got it for about a third of what a snap-on one would be. And you guys can see here's some of the fittings that goes in your radiator or the overflow tank, or whichever way you have to fill your particular car. And here's the instruction sheet and stuff, and so I got on YouTube, looking at some videos, read the instructions, and I just did it. And here's the tool itself, man. It's well made. Seems like it's heavy. The rubber's nice and soft. I pulled the vacuum on it down to 26 and let it sit for a little bit, and it didn't leak down. So I went ahead and put my antifreeze in a 5-gallon bucket and make sure I had plenty of it, because you don't want to run out and pull air back up in the system. The only trouble I had with this particular tool is right here where your filler hose goes into the tool. It's not, you can't take it apart. Don't have like a quick disconnect on it or nothing. And there's air in this tube right here, and you don't want to pull that back in your system. So while I had it in the radiator, I put this in down in my 5-gallon bucket of coolant, and then picked it up, like this, to get it down into the tube, so it'd be all the way up to the little tool there. So anyhow, I had to do that about 5 or 6 times to get the tube itself full, so I wasn't pulling any air in there. And but it worked great, man. Other than that, and I think if I go to Home Depot or something, I could buy me some fittings and redo this to where I can unhook it like this. Then you could submerge the whole hose in your coolant and fill it that way instead of doing it like I did it. But it seemed to work once I got the air out of it, man. I turned that valve on, boy, and it sucked all that stuff right up in that system. And then when I took it apart, took the tool out of my reservoir here, which this one's up high. This is the first one, and you got the overflow tank down here on the bottom. But this is the one that you're dealing with, and you guys can see it's nice and full. And when you're working on these particular cars, it has this hose right here is like the air, where the air comes up through, and little bubbles come out right there when you're running the engine, and that tells you that you still have air in the system. But once you get antifreeze or coolant running through that little fitting, I don't know if you guys can see it, right there it is, that wee little one. But once you get all the air out of the system, you don't see no more bubbles. So, but anyway, it seemed to work good, man. I stuck it on there the first time I ever did it, and I didn't have any leaks in the system. I let it sit there for 2 or 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and make sure it didn't leak down, and got the antifreeze in the little filler hose there, and turned the valve on, boy, and it just pulled it right on up in there. So, but yeah, these things are notorious for getting air in them, and they're kind of a pain in the rear end to get it out. So I just figured I'd try that and post this. So if any of you guys are working on these cars, let you know how they work. And a lot of the newer cars are that way. They got so many nooks and crannies in these engines anymore. It's not like filling up a 68 Camaro with a 350 or a 396 in it. You just can't just burp it once or twice and be done with it. It can be a job if you don't have the right tool to do it with. But anyhow, I got it running and everything. It's ready to go on the road, but I just hadn't had the extra money to buy tags and insurance. And I don't know when that's going to be. It might be a little while yet. Like I say, I'm trying to save every nickel I can. But I hadn't worked on it in a couple of months, and just figured I'd try to get that straightened out. There's some of my body work. Something must have fell on the hood and had a little crack right here. And I'm working on it. It ain't quite finished yet, but I mean, other than that, it's ready to go. It sounds good and seems to be running okay. Once I get it on the road, I can probably do some tuning on it. I've done about all I can do with it sitting here idling in the shop or driving it around the block a little bit. I need to get it out on the road and get the RPMs up on it for a long period of time. And still has a little bit of oil, or actually it was Marvel Mystery Oil, the guy put in the cylinders to keep it from locking up, going through my exhaust system. And I just need to get it out on the road, run it up, for a long period of time, burn that mess out. Probably really need to put a whole exhaust system on it with a set of headers, but as you guys can see, this thing is a beast to put headers on, and plus I ain't got it like that right now, so I'm just gonna run it like it is. But the exhaust system on these things are real restrictive, and you can gain some horsepower by putting a freer flowing exhaust system on them. And plus it sound better. I mean, when it's running, it don't even sound like, a hot rod or nothing. It's so doggone quiet. It don't really even sound like a high performance machine. But I guess they did that on purpose. A lot of these aftermarket exhaust systems for these cars will make it drone in the cabin. And I guess GM did a lot of research on how to do these mufflers and this exhaust system to make it sound halfway decent and keep it from droning, while you're just cruising around and all that. But anyway, that airlift system seemed to work pretty good, man. It's a well-made tool. Like I said, the rubber's nice and pliable. It fits real good on here, and it seals up well, and that sucker worked like a champ. But anyhow, I'm gonna get off here and fiddle around with it a little bit, I guess. And freaking exhausted, man, working all the time. Hell, I never did know bricklayers were essential employees. I thought we was gonna get a couple of days off, but that's not the case. Anyway, hope everybody's well out there, and watch out for that virus. And appreciate you guys watching, and just old school dude trying to fix up an old hot rod. But anyway, you guys have a great day. Thank you. Bye.